guys, welcome to my channel and to my Back to Beauty No Buy year. This year I am concentrating on using my makeup and not buying any. Today's video is the follow-up video to yesterday's video, which was my when in doubt, dupe it out for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette. So yesterday I showed you my dupes for the palette, and today I'm going to create a look with my fictional palette. I always do a look for my when in doubt dupe it out videos, but I thought it might be fun to follow up those videos actually showing you how I create the look that I think is a look that I would create with the palette that I duped. So that's what we're going to do today. I have my face on already. All of that will be linked down in the description box below for you. I did prime my eyes with the Urban Decay Primer Potion in the anti-aging formula and set down that primer with a translucent powder. So for my transition, I'm going to go into the shade Cabana from the ABH palette, which is said to be a matte muted birch mustard. And for that shade, I'm going into the ColourPop Element of Surprise palette. No, that's not the right shade. This shade right here, which is called Sea Stars, and that's going to be my transition. I really enjoy duping palettes for you guys, and I hope it encourages you to dupe palettes from your own collection. You know, keeping in mind that whether it is exactly the same is not the point. The point is to try and dupe out the palette using colors that will at least display the vibes of what you're looking at in the palette that you're duping. And this can be a little difficult. Like I mentioned in my video yesterday, I think the most difficult part about duping a palette is deciding where you're going to dupe it from. Like I said yesterday, I had the picture of the palette, I had swatches on 3 different skin tones, as well as the descriptions that I read you that came from the ABH website. So the next shade I'm going to go into in the Riviera palette is called Mediterranean, and it's described as a metallic sky blue, and for me that comes from the Zodiac palette, and I'm going to use this shade right here called Cancer. I love this palette. I'm going to go in with a brush first and then go in with a wet brush or a phalange. Oh, so pretty. This is one of the shades that I felt like I absolutely duped perfectly. Not that I'm perfect by any means, but I just felt like this was really spot on for the ABH shade. I am gonna spray this. I forgot how kind of chunky and glittery these shades are. They apply it better with a wet brush. I'm definitely curious to know how many of you are planning to pick up the Riviera palette, how many of you are planning to dupe the Riviera palette. Have you already duped the Riviera palette? Do not give a hoot about the Riviera palette. Tell me all your thoughts. Going into the shade Inheritance from the Riviera palette, it is described as a metallic true gold, and for that I'm going to be using this shade right here called Euphoria. The shade in the Riviera palette is a very, very true yellow gold, so I really felt like this was the perfect shade for that. I will say I was definitely attracted to this palette to begin with. The packaging speaks to me, obviously navy and white, you know, are colors that I'm into, very much so. And so I was definitely attracted to the palette, but one, I was pretty sure I could dupe it, and two, I talked about in my stash or trash, which hopefully you've seen, maybe you haven't, I essentially anti-hauled the palette because my ABH palettes are going bad, expiring right before my very eyes. They are some of my oldest palettes, but they are not the oldest palettes in my collection, and they're expiring. The formula is already starting to change, and I'm disgusted with it. I don't know what it is about the formulation of ABH shadows, and ultimately it really doesn't matter because they have a very, very short shelf life. Okay, so the next shade I want to use is the shade Coastline from the Anastasia Beverly Hills palette. It is described as a matte pastel soft peach. And for me, that comes from the Bad Habit Athena palette. I would have seen this several times. And I'm gonna go into this shade right here called Valor. I just kind of wanna add a little bit more warmth to the transition area, add a little pop of color. Oh yeah, I like that. I do like the mustard, but I think I just wanted a little bit more color up there. So looking at the ABH palette, I'm curious which colors you were most attracted to. What do you think of the split of the mattes? I think it was a pretty good mixture this time. They had 8 mattes and 4 shimmers and 2 duochromes. And then going back into the Weekend Festival palette, I'm going to use the shade from the Riviera palette called Palm. It's described as a matte dark chocolate brown, and it is described as a pressed pigment. And for me, that comes from the Weekend Festival palette. Again, I'm going to use this shade right here called Hipster. I needed a dark anchor to the outer corner of the eye and a little bit of depth in the crease to separate kind of the blue from the warm tone. Boy, fail. Hope you won't hold this video against me. You know, the idea is good, the execution is lacking. I gotta say, I love this teeny tiny brush from Morphe. Definitely hit or miss when it comes to Morphe brushes, but this one is really great. This is the M562, and it's just this little teeny tiny blender, and I love it to do exactly what I'm doing right now, which is to kind of place it on the outer corner and then just barely give a hint or a shadow of it up in the crease. I do think it's a rotten shame though that these palettes keep getting leaked from, not from Norvina, but Norvina's palettes keep getting leaked, and I think that's really a bummer, you know? Why does that keep happening to her? I don't know. But I would think with all this hard work that she's put into these, you know, creating these palettes, and you get excited for that release and whatnot. I'm gonna go back into that shade Valor, that peachy shade that we used in the transition, just for a little blend. But I would think that that would be really frustrating when you're looking forward to a release or something and then somebody spoils the surprise, so to speak. I think that sucks. Alrighty, for an inner corner, I decided to do a fun pop of color. It is for the shade, oh man, I still can't pronounce this, Seychelles or something like that. I'll put it on the screen. It's described as a metallic aquamarine shade. I took mine from the Face Candy Atlantis palette, and I did use the shade Swell. So I'm gonna put that on my inner corner. I just think it's gonna be a fun little pop of color. I am going to spray it I do love turquoise and navy together. Wowza. Let's hope this comes together when I put mascara on, shall we? All right, lower lash line, we're gonna kind of recreate the crease situation. So I'm gonna first line my lower lash line with the brown called Hipster. Back into the shade Valor here in the Athena palette. And I'm going to smudge it out starting from the inner part of the lower lash line. At this point, I am going to pop off of here, do some liner and lashes and a lip, and then we will come back for the final look. Ta-da! Crazy hair! It's not quite time to scrunch the crunch out of my hair, but I did take it down for you. So this is the completed look. I like it a little better now. I didn't apply any more shadows. I just did a little bit of blending to sort of tone down, especially the gold. I'm not a huge fan of a true gold shadow on my eyes and my complexion, so I think that's kind of what was throwing me off. But I do like it better now. I do feel spring vibes from this. On my lips, I have the NARS Velvet Lip Pencil in the shade Dulce Vita and a little Fenty Gloss Bomb in the original Fenty Glow shade for a little gloss. And that's it. I did a gray liner on the tight line and a nude liner on the waterline and mascara. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope that you're encouraged to shop your stash for the Anastasia Beverly Hills Riviera palette. And I hope all of your makeup days are absolutely beautifully bold springtime makeup days. And I will see you in my next video soon.